So it takes about an hour, I guess, in the car.
I should try to, like her face should be.
No, don't worry. Do what you have to do. No pressure. It's fine.
You met the family, but this is the one behind it all, so you'll see everything right here. You see where I became.
All right.
Oh,
Recording?
okay.
Microphone?
All right, go.
Everything's good?
Okay. What's your full name?
Lynette Cologne.
My full name
is.
Oh.
Or do your name is. My name is.
Okay. My name is, or you want me to say my full name
No,
is?
your name is.
Oh, my name is Lynette Cologne.
What's your relationship to Jeremy?
He's my son.
Okay, good.
Can you just slide a little to the side of the stairs?
Yeah, of course. Okay.
I should have said, okay.
What was Jeremy like as a child?
Jeremy was a very hyper child. He got into everything. I always used to watch him. I had to watch him extremely close because he would get hurt all the time and get into things he wasn't supposed to get into. It was a challenge with him because he was really strong-minded as a child and as an adult as well. But it was a pleasure, you know, seeing him grow up and watching him blossom into this wonderful young man he's became.
What was it like raising a family in New York and the Bronx specifically?
It was very difficult raising a family in the Bronx. I worked a lot of different jobs to support our family. We always moved from apartment to apartment because it got pretty hard. But I've always kept the roof over their head. I always kept them, there was always food in the fridge. There was always, you know, everything they needed to grow up. I always made sure that even if I had to work 2-3 jobs, I made sure that they were okay.
When Jeremy was playing video games as a child, were you ever concerned? Were you ever worried?
I was worried. I was getting on his case a lot about it, including having such a high Con Edison bill. Besides that, I used to get upset. But there came a time where I got used to just letting him do his thing. I said maybe one day he will become something out of it. So at one point I got used to it and I let him just do. I'd rather for him to be home and play video games as opposed to being on the street and hanging out with the wrong crowd. So at one point I supported it 100%, and that's what happened with that.
What was Jeremy's relationship like with his brother? What was that like?
I remember when Jacob was born, Jeremy used to pull his little feet out of the crib. He got a little jealous of his brother. He used to, you know, do a lot of bad things to his little baby brother. But as they grew up, they became one person. They're very close, and they'd always looked out for each other, even when things got difficult. They always been there for one another, definitely.
Okay.
So they're very close.
In terms of Jeremy's grandparents, I asked him the same question about how they felt him pursuing video games as a career, and how they kind of didn't really agree with it. They kind of frowned upon it in some aspect. That's the older generation. Did you ever have to have like conversations with them about him playing video
Definitely.
games?
I always had to. There was times when we had conversations with my mom and my dad, which I completely understand where they came from. They wanted him to go to college and, you know, make a career and have a stable job, you know. But I don't think, like you said, my parents come from an old-fashioned place, so they only wanted to look out for him. But they were really highly upset about the whole situation, and they would get on my case about it too. Why was I letting him play video games hours of the night and things like that? But like I said, they got used to the whole situation and they just kind of accepted it, even though they didn't like it.
Okay. Obviously, Jeremy specifically is playing Call of Duty. That's the game he plays.
Yes.
After he won $50,000, what went through your mind?
Wow. I remember watching it and thinking to myself, wow, it was the most amazing feeling that I've ever felt, seeing my son win all that money. And as a mother, you know, my first thing was, what is he going to do with that money? You know, I just hope that he does something good. And he has. He's absolutely done positive things with his money. He's got his own place. He bought a car. He's saving money. He has a savings account. My son wants to buy a home one day. So, you know, as a mother, I don't expect anything in return. I think that whatever he wants is for him, per se. But if he felt like he wanted to give me something, I wouldn't say no.
What would you want?
Maybe a little ride sometime, yeah, just to get around and run errands. But that's not something I expect. You know, I expect him to keep all his runnings, and that's for him. He won that, so yeah.
Describe the day, if you could. Like, you're obviously sat at home, probably with the husband, watching the exact moment he wins that much money. Like,
I burst into tears. Definitely. I was so emotional. I couldn't even. It was the most. Besides the day that I had him, which was one of the most amazing times of my life when I gave birth to my son, that was probably the third thing that was the most amazing moment, because Jacob was the second one. I felt like I was in a dream, kind of, but he worked so hard for that moment. He earned every cent of that $50,000. Absolutely, he dedicated his whole time, his health, his times where he's on video games for hours and he doesn't eat, and that's a concern of mine. But I kind of understood his dedication, and that's what happened when he dedicated himself that much to that eventually he was gonna win something out of it, and he did, and he won it big.
In terms of last year was very different for Jeremy. It wasn't really a successful year. Didn't really win the most money from tournaments. Were you concerned at that point that maybe he should look at something else?
I was concerned. I was telling him, maybe you should be patient. Things will happen. That happens with games sometimes. You know, there's times where it goes up and it comes down. But when it comes up, I always told him, make sure you save your money. When it comes down, it's okay. I've always told him that I'm here for you either way. But I never told him to give up. Never. I've always supported my son.
Okay. Towards the end of this year, Jeremy's going to be playing for $2 million. So a little bit more on the line than previously. Wow. What are your expectations? Do you have expectations? Are you expecting him to win?
I'm going to be honest with you. If my son won that much money, I'm going to be a little happy. I'm going to be happy, but I'm going to be concerned as well. You know, sometimes when people know that you won that much money, they tend to want to take advantage of that person, and also as far as his safety is concerned, like his physical safety, I have always been concerned about that. I trust people, but to a point. I think that I know that it's going to be a huge thing. If he wins the $2 million, I just want him to be extremely careful with who he hangs out with and things like that. That's definitely been a concern of mine.
Is it crazy to you he has hundreds of thousands of fans?
I am so happy he does. I'm his #1 fan, but to see like so many fans behind my son, I don't blame them. He's an amazing boy. He has a good heart. He thinks about others before himself. I think that he has a lot of me inside of him. And when I'm gone, to know that he's gonna continue treating people the way that I treat people, and to know that he's going to be a great person in society, that makes me the most proud mother in the whole world, knowing that.
Jeremy is known as being one of the more energetic players. I'm sure you know when you watch him.
Oh my God, yes. He gets involved.
Where does that come from?
Well, I think it comes from me. I'm a very emotional person. I feel things to 100. I mean, when I do something, I do it 100%. I put all my heart into everything that I do, especially when it comes to taking care of people. That's what I do for a living. And when I do it with all my heart and all my love. And that's who he is.
That's where he gets it. That's good. What is your proudest moment as a mother for Jeremy? What's the proudest you've ever been of him?
I've always been proud of my son. Even when he made a mistake, I've always said to him, no matter what you do in life, no matter what mistakes you make, whether they're good, they're bad, I will always be proud of you. I think that having my son was probably the most important thing that I've done in my whole life. Both of them, as far as I'm concerned. That's the most important thing that I've ever done in my whole life, was to have Jeremy and Jacob.
How did it feel when Jeremy left your house the first time to move into the envious house? Were you worried?
I was heartbroken. I missed him so much. It was hard for me. The first couple of weeks, I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating. I missed my son so much, and knowing that he's not going to depend on me anymore, because I've always taken care of my son, and to see him leave and, not need me anymore as much, I missed that, but I knew that one day it was going to happen, and I knew that I had to let go. But it was very, very difficult for me to see him leave.
You can take a second.
Sure.
How is it since he's obviously got his own place? You're close this time.
I'm
right?
so glad. I'm so glad he's close too.
Is it what, like 2 blocks, 3 blocks away?
2 blocks.
How often do you come to his apartment? How often does he come to your apartment?
We often don't see each other due to the fact that even though we live so close to each other, my work schedule is insane, and he's always playing. Like I said, he's a dedicated person. So he's like, every time I call, he's like, Mom, I'm playing a game. Call me later. So I kind of expect that. But we when we do see each other, we make it a great day.
Have you ever been to an event and watched him play live?
No, but I would love to.
You'd love to.
I would love to do that. I haven't been invited yet. I'm wondering why.
Funny, I asked Dad the same thing, and that's the exact same answer he gave. I was like, I would take that. My bad, bro.
But I would love to do that one day. Yeah, definitely. If he invites me, I'm there.
Okay. Over to Jacob, obviously Jeremy's brother. What was it like knowing that he was going to go to the Navy? How did that kind of feel? Because that was a similar time where Jeremy moved out.
Exactly.
How was that?
That was a really dark time for me. It hit me all at once that my children that they always counted on me for everything. To see them both leave was very, very difficult for me. I was really, really at a dark place. I was really sad. I was heartbroken. And, once I saw my son on graduation time in Chicago, my God, when I saw him come out, I couldn't believe how amazingly of a man he's become. Same thing with Jeremy. Like, all the sacrifices that I made as a mother, all the tears and all the sacrifices that I made was worth everything. It was amazing to see.
That was one of the moments yesterday interviewing Jeremy where he teared up himself, was speaking about his brother and his graduation and how proud of a brother he was. What was that trip like? Like that whole experience of seeing your son graduate, the hard times. Like he said himself, like boot camp was very difficult.
It was so hard, but he came through with it. Like I said, they both really strong, good-hearted people and dedicated people. And whatever they did, I knew they were going to do it and they were going to finish it. They were going to accomplish whatever they were going to do, because that's who I am, When I saw Jacob come out in his uniform, and I was thinking, wow, I'm the most luckiest mother in the world, due to the fact that I see all these children out here that have no guidance, that they're lost in the streets, and to see both of my sons become the person and the people that they become, I was like, wow, I did a pretty good job. Like, I was pretty proud of that. It was a proud moment for me to see that.
What does the future hold for Jeremy?
Oh my God, only great things. Even when this whole gaming is over, which I'm hoping that it won't be for him, but I know that eventually in due time it probably will, probably won't. But whatever my son does, he's going to be successful at it. Whether he becomes whatever he wants to be in life, he's going to be successful at it.
Okay. Jeremy as a child, just to backtrack again, when he was playing sports, was he a sporty child? Like, what was he like?
Well, I had him. He played baseball. He played little games in basketball at the park, but he wasn't really into sports like I thought he was gonna be. But he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it, but it's not something that I knew he was gonna make a career of or anything like that, But He when we played for baseball and when I put him in the baseball team, he enjoyed it. He was pretty good at it. He enjoyed it as a kid, definitely.
Okay. One thing we know about both of your sons is their love for dancing.
Yeah.
And what was it like? I mean, did you know that they danced on trains? Did you?
Yeah, and I was concerned about that, but like I said, there was times when money was really tight, and I think that they were doing it just to make extra money to help me per se. But I was really difficult about their safety, and I would get on their case constantly about it until they stopped dancing on trains. But to know that people were actually watching them and giving them money for their dancing was amazing, because I was like, okay, that means they're great at what they're doing. They're not, you know. But I'm also a dancer, so they got that from their mom.
Who's the better dancer, Jeremy or Jacob?
Oh, that's you put me in a difficult spot. I think I think
Or you.
me. Well, I'm in the 80s, so I'm like way back there in the era. So that's how I dance. But the way they dance now, both of them are pretty good at it, I would have to say. Because whatever Jeremy does and he learns, he teaches Jacob. So Jacob dances just like his brother.
Did Jacob ever express trying to follow his brother's footsteps in terms of video games? Was there ever a moment where he was playing video games as well and you thought, oh, maybe he could do what Jeremy does?
He played a little bit with Jacob, but I knew that it wasn't going to be like the way Jeremy played. I think Jacob had far more things different from, because they're completely different people. Jacob and Jeremy are completely different people. But I knew for a fact that Jacob wasn't going to make a career out of the game. He enjoyed playing, but it's not something that he was going to make a career of like Jeremy was.
Was there ever any, like, brotherly fights over video games in the household?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. There's times where video games actually got broken and cracked because they were fighting over it.
You have any questions, Andrew?
No,
I'm trying to
you
think
nailed
of,
all the ones that I've.
I'm trying to think of gelling together everything. Oh, that's one thing. If you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. In terms of meeting Jeremy's stepfather, who he's calls father, calls dad, he told me obviously Chuck E. Cheese. He was a manager at Chuck E. Cheese. What was it like for you as a mother, seeing Jeremy and Jacob both get extremely attached to your husband? Like, how that?
I was really happy because of the fact that their father was never around. I pretty much raised my babies by myself, and when I met my husband, and I saw how he related to the kids, I was happy to know that they were gonna have a strong figure in their life, because I was concerned about that. I was concerned about it because I wanted them to have some type of male influence in their life, and I wanted them to have that, because there's only certain things that as a mother I can do for my boys. Boys always need that male influence in their life, no matter, however you code it. So to see that, I was extremely, extremely happy. My husband's always talked to them a lot, and he loves them like his own, definitely.
If you could give any advice to parents who see their kids playing video games all day, what would the advice be?
Support your children. No matter what your children do, and it's positive. Always think about the fact that they're home, they're safe, and if there's something that they're really passionate about, they can be successful at it. They can make a lot of money like my son. So, if you see your children doing that, support them 100%.
Okay. Nick, do you have any questions?
I just have one, kind of the same one I've been asking everyone, and you can just look at Ben
Okay.
and give the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very known as Study. People will come up to him and say,
Yeah, I've
"Hey,
seen-
you're Study." Will he ever be Study to you, or is he's Jeremy?
He's actually both to me. I mean, he's worked so hard to become Study, so that's part of who he is. There was one time we was in Manhattan, and I was walking with my son, and a whole bunch of kids ran to him, and they were like, "Study, Study," and they actually wanted his autograph, and I was like, okay, I was so happy. I was like in La La Land, enjoying every moment of it, seeing that. It was amazing. It was amazing. I was with a celebrity.
That's awesome. That's so cool. that's everything I have.
Thank you.
That's great.
So much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.